Welcome back. Thanks so much for being with us. Now, there's a matter that's being heavily debated. The Prime Minister's man woman is woman comment in part during his budget presentation. In a media release, advocacy group Equality for All Foundation says the Prime Minister's remarks risk deepening stigma against LGBT plus Jamaicans, the groups describing the remarks as unnecessary and misleading and a troubling oversimplification of human gender identity.
Yes, there are things we must resist when it comes to our values. There are things that define us as Jamaicans that we're not going to change on those. Man is a man, woman is a woman. We're not going to change on that.
Now, joining us to discuss this is the Executive Director, Equality for All Foundation, Glenroy Murray. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us, sir.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Great. Now, many Jamaicans might agree with the Prime Minister's statement. Why do you have a problem with it?
The problem that we have with the statement is the context in which it was said. The Prime Minister was talking about the foreign policy position of the country and how he's navigated that for the benefit of the country economically. We don't feel there was any need to talk about gender-related issues in the way that he did, because there is no, or there's not likely to be any real pressure within the geopolitical context at this stage around that issue. So it feels like he was just punching down on a community that is already marginalized and stigmatized in society.
Now, you're quoted as saying, when national leadership reduces gender to a rigid binary, it dismisses the lived realities of many Jamaicans, but also risks deepening marginalization of communities who already face significant barriers. Expound on this. What exactly does it mean?
What we're acknowledging there are that trans people exist, people who identify with a gender identity that is different from their sex. And they've always existed in Jamaica. And whether or not people accept their views on their identities besides the point, the reality is they face violence, discrimination, homelessness at significant rates in this country. And so it is unhelpful for the Prime Minister to make those kinds of comments when he has done very little to address material realities of that community.
Tell me a little about the message that you think all of this is sending to the Jamaican society.
It reinforces the realities that we've been facing as a community. It gives people permission to continue with the discrimination, continue with kicking people out of their home communities, and in rare instances, continue with the violence that the community faces. Rather than bring us together in a moment about our economic development, the Prime Minister decided to advance rhetoric that divided and ostracized certain sections of our society.
If someone says the community is reading too much into it, what would you say?
I would say, put yourself in our shoes. Put yourself in the shoes of a community that is marginalized, that faces a lot of violence, and whose issues have never truly been addressed by a Prime Minister. And this is the first time in Parliament that he's referencing it in some way, and that's what he's doing. To be ignored for so long, only be brought up in this way, is hurtful. And that's the reality of what we're facing. And so while I see how people think we're making a mountain out of a molehill, those people don't know what it's like to be ignored and then ostracized.
What would you like to see the Prime Minister do then? Are you calling for a withdrawal of the statement, perhaps?
Not necessarily. For me, I would like the Prime Minister to make active steps to engage the LGBTQ community and understand our issues better and develop strategies to address them. Because we have the ideas and the proposals, and we're just waiting for more consistent engagement by his cabinet on the issues that we face.
Thanks so much for your time. Executive Director, Equality for All Foundation, Glenroy Murray.